Well, hello. Welcome to Wood Chip Woodworking. My name is Paul Courtwright. I'll go through the same spiel I do every time. Please share, subscribe, and like. Let's get this channel to grow. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's get down to business here. I've been asked several times to make a video on a rolling pin. So thinking about it, what I would do is I'm going to make two different styles. I'll make this first one I'm going to do is basically a French rolling pin. And I got me a piece of wood here. We'll have to cut it down and get the rough shape that we need for it and get it in a square block, and then we'll go from there. So that being all said, let's get started on this. And if you got any comments, suggestions, or anything like that, please feel free to share them with me. Leave some comments below in the comment section, or send me an email, whichever works best for you, and we'll go from there. So let's take this piece of wood, piece of firewood, it's a piece of maple. Let's go over to the bandsaw and let's cut this up into a square block, and let's get started on our project. Hang tight. All right, so we're at our bandsaw here and trying to find a good flat spot that I can work off of to cut this. And it looks like that one's going to be the best one to get our first cut. So first of all, we need to figure out how wide is this piece in order to make a rolling pin. So looking at this, widest part is about 2 inches, so I could go 3. Let's go 2. Now that'd be good. So we're going to set our fence up to 2 inches. Now let's go 2 1/4 just to be safe. Laying it flat like that looks like that's going to be the best way to put it. So I'm going to run this up like that. Actually, I'm going to go 2 1/2 because I'm going to end up cutting some off this outer edge over here as well. So I'm going to move it over 2 1/2 inches, just like that. And let's get some cutting done here. So drop my thing down, and here we go. I'm just going to take my time. All right, that's our first cut. So now we got a flat spot there. Let's see here. I'm trying to figure out whether I need to move it or not. Now I think I'm all right. So we're going to cut this one here. All right. That's pretty close to what I need. That'll work. That'll work. We'll just leave it at that, and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna get rid of my scraps here, and let's go back over to the bench, and we'll lay this out. We're done with our bandsaw, so hang tight. All right, I got my little centering ruler here. I think I talked about that one time. It's from Grizzly. It's a little centering ruler. Works real great. I love it. I wish I'd have bought this years ago. But how it works, I'll explain it again, is we know our piece is basically 2 inches. So 1.5 inches would be 1 1/8 on that side. Looks like 1 1/8 would center it. So we put a mark there. Oh, I'm sorry. Put a mark there, that way. And then we put it this way, and we say 1.25 inches on that. Yeah, not quite an inch and 3/16 roughly. And we put a mark there. So there's our center mark for that side, right there. Do the same thing on this side. Looks like I ought to square these ends up. So let me square them up and I'll be right back. All right, I squared them up. So that's what we wanted. Now we can be able to see our marks here. So now I got 1 1/8 inches on each side. So I put my mark right there. Turn it this way. And 1 1/8 inches there. So that's our center mark right there. Do the same thing on this side. And this one's 1 1/8 inches there. And now we measure this side here. 1 3/16 inches. Yep. So our center mark is right there. All right, so now we got her centered up. Let's go put her on the lathe and do some turning. Hang tight, we'll get you over there at the lathe. All right, so we're at the lathe. I'm going to do it between centers. So I need my little calipers here. Yeah, either one of them is what I need there. All right, so put that in that end and put that in this end. There we are. All right, so we're between centers, and basically we want to make her round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple different methods of making this round. One is I'm going to show you what a roughing gouge is, and we'll use that one first, and then we'll use a skew to make it round and go from there. So that being said, let's see what we can do. I got my face shield here, and I got my gloves. Put my gloves on here, and these gloves are fingerless anti-vibration gloves. I got these from Stauffer Safety Solutions, which I like them. They're real comfortable, and I got a little bit of arthritis in this hand right there, and that's what helps. So anyway, this is my roughing gouge. I'm going to show you, I'm going to do a little bit of roughing with this in here. Try to rough this out here, and then I'll slide down a little bit, and I'll show you what the skew will do. So here we go. I'm going to rough it out. I'm going to run, somewhere around 700 RPMs. That right there is 620. So here we go. Same thing, I'm just going to go here. I'm going to go out to the outer edge. And I'm going fairly slow just because I want to get these corners knocked off. And then I'll speed it up and show you what we got. Well, actually, I'm going to move my tool rest down a little bit because I'm going off the end. All right, you can see how it's chewing that up, and that's what we want. So we're going to go up to about 900 RPMs. And my main objective here is just to get it round. Nothing major yet. This is a rough and gouge Thompson tools. It's a good little rough and gouge. I don't use it near enough. I do like using it, but it's a nice rough and gouge. All right, so that is round. See how that is? I got a little flat spot there, one there, but that's fine. But that's what that looks like. Now, I'm going to switch over to my skew, and I'll show you what my skew does. And I like turning with the skew. I don't know, something about it. I really like turning with it. I'm going to give it a quick sharpen, and then we'll be ready to roll on that. When I sharpen my skew, I always take a marker and color the bevel I have, like that. In fact, I'm going to turn you around so you see what I'm doing, so that you see me sharpen. All right, so hang tight. I know this is something you don't see very often, is me sharpening my tools. I usually sharpen them beforehand. So I took and, as you can see, I colored the top of that. That's my bevel I'm looking for. I lay my tool up, make sure, and I just drag it like that. And I'm just hitting the top, so I need to take it and see if I can't get it a little bit closer. There we are. And I put it back on again, and you can see I'm coming down on a little bit more. So, all right. And there I'm down to where I need to be, down to there. So it tells me I've got the same bevel set up on my gauge here. And then I just take this, and you want to do the same number on both sides. Let's stick it in some water back here a little bit, keep it cool. And you can see I got a little bit right there and a little bit right there on both sides that I need to take off. You don't want to overheat your tool when you're grinding. We got a little bit right there left to do. Probably one more pass and I should have it. I'm going to do one more. And if you watch, you'll see the sparks come over the edge. That's when you know you got it right. there we are. Got a nice good bevel on that. And let's take and get you back over here and we'll get you set up. All right, so now we're back here at the lathe. I want to make sure everything's tight still. All right, so you see how this is square. And when I cut, I usually use a skew. I'm doing it right around 11 o'clock or so if you look at a clock. And we always go to the outer edge, because if we go this way, we're petting our cat backwards. And we don't like that. So again, I'm running right around 900 RPMs. I hang on my tool. And you'll see that it's pretty rough yet. And that's just the corners coming off. And that smacking noise is exactly what you want to put a face shield for. I'm going to adjust my mic here a little bit. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, you want to get it down a little bit too low now. There we are. All right. Yeah, you want to wear a face shield because coming off there, they'll hurt you in the face. You don't want that. Alright, and I'm going to speed her up some more even. Right now I'm about 1200 RPMs. And I'm running about 10, 11 o'clock, something like that. Got my skew at about a 45-degree angle. And if you do any turning, and don't be afraid of the skew. Once you get the hang of how it works and everything, it actually does a beautiful job. Probably one of my favorite tools. And you can see, not quite there yet. Let's see what it looks like. You can already see a difference between the gouge and a skew. You see how rough that is and how smooth this is. So we're looking pretty good. Flat spot there. Got that. That's going to be turned down anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that one. This one here I am. So let's move down a little bit and take that a little bit more off there. So I'm going to go this way with it. And move it from there. And like I said, I'm running about 1200 RPMs. And if you really want to figure out how to run a skew, this is an excellent project for that. And you can see that is like real nice. So like I said, I got a little bit there, which I'm not worried about just yet. So let's figure out how we're going to do this. Okay, so our overall blank is 15 and a half inches long. So let's split that in half, and that would be 7 3/4, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Why am I doing that? I do not know. That's math. And if we was to take our center finder ruler that I've got here, Okay, this one here is 18 inches long. Centering finder here, let's see, 7 3/4, 7 3/4. So I was right. Right there's where that is. Okay, so that's my center on that. So I want to put a mark right there. So that's my center. So I'm going to work both directions out to there. So, and I want to come in roughly, I'm going to say, because I got this end piece here that I got to trim off there on both ends. So I'm going to come in about let's just say a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to mark this at a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to mark down here at a 1/2 inch. Get up there, get my hand out of your way so you can see. So there's a 1/2 inch right there. And there's a 1/2 inch there. Okay, so I'm going to put a line right there. And I'll put one over here. Okay, so now that's kind of where I'm at. Now let's get this end down and this end down to the thickness that I want. And since this block is 2 inches, so we want to make that down to roughly 1 inch. So I'm going to take my calipers here and I'm going to set this up to 1 inch. So I'm going to go between 3 and 4 there. To get this here, we're going to go down about 1 inch. And that'll give me pretty close to what I need. And I might go a little deeper once I get that down. So that's that. Now, I am going to take, this is a like a parting tool. I think I got that from Freddie Dutton, one of our club members. He's one of our founding fathers of the Central Iowa Wood Turners. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to run this down till that fits. So here we go. Face shield down. And get rid of some of this out here. This is like waste wood, so it's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be exact, just close. Okay, let's check our dimensions and make sure nothing's moved on me. And it's still set for 1 inch, good. All right, now we're going to move our tool rest down to this end and do the same thing. Alrighty, here we go. And I'm running right around 400 RPM, something like that. When you're doing this, you don't want to run it real fast. So, get rid of some waste material here. Just to give you some room. All right. There it be. Okay. So that takes care of that. Now, that's going to be our 2 outer line. The French rolling pin is going to kind of be thicker here and it's going to taper down to there. So being 2 inches, we're going to go down 1 inch. So I got to taper it from this down this way and then this to this way. So let's do this end first. Grab my skew again. And we'll get to rough it out real good. And so here we go. And then it's just basically a big bead, if you want to call it that. So I'm just kind of taper it. Couple more cuts. I'm doing real light cuts here, and as I get closer I'm getting a little bit more aggressive, so I take more off down here, but I'm just taking my time. Not bad. Now, what's interesting is when you use a skew, you get these real fine shavings like that, and you see that is a beautiful finish right there. I wouldn't even sand that, but I got to take a little bit more off down here to get it, but I want to do this end first. So I'm going to slide my tool rest down, and I'm right-handed, so that makes a little bit of a difference when you're doing this right-handed. You'll see I'll have less of a problem when I go this way. So crank it up, start down here, and we'll go from there. Just wanted to check, make sure it's recording. Everything's good. Now you see why I left that little bit there, because I go into it and I don't want to hit my drive with my tool. And I can just go up and smack that, and that ain't going to hurt nothing. So it's looking pretty good. Centered pretty good. I still got a little bit more I got to take off here. So I'm going to take a little bit more off here and get to that point. I'm pretty close to the same on both ends. I'm a little bit less, but once I take that off, I think we'll be good. So let's keep working. A lot of times it's just nice and easy cuts. Try and take it down to that 1 inch mark there. Wow, I'm amazed at how smooth that is. That is just unbelievable. Okay, so I got some high spots here. This one's really smooth. I'm going to slide down and do the other side. And we'll go from there. Now, I thought about this. This is the heel or the toe, and then that's the heel or the toe too as well. So you don't want to catch them 2 points, because if you catch them, it'll give you a big catch, and that's what scares people more than anything. See a black mark there. What is that? Oh, that's good. All right. So I'm going to do a little bit more, and then we'll go to a smaller skew just to fine tune it. All right, I feel a couple rough spots in there. I'm going to switch over to my 1 inch, and I'm going to give it a quick sharpen. So I'll be right back in 1 second here. All right. Okay, so now I'm just going to finesse this and clean this up. I'll take a little bit off the center so it's not so blunt there, and we'll be all set. So this is going to cut real nice. All right. So I'm going to go back this way. All right, let's do one more because I got a little bit of marks there. Do one more this way. Hopefully I can go make it all in one swipe. I don't know. That's pretty good. That looks good. Yeah. No marks in it. We're good. Now we'll go over here and we'll do this end. And we're about done. So I'm going to go this way. I'm going to get that high spot off the center. I think that looks pretty good. Nice and smooth. A little bit right there. I want to try to clean that up. Let's try to clean that up a little bit. That's better. Oh yeah, much better. All right, so now what we want to do is finish off the ends here. So that, I don't trust myself with the skew to do that, so I'm going to use my little spindle gouge. I'm just going to get rid of this here. I'm going to come back about 1/4 of an inch and just kind of about right there. All right. Part of the reason why I wanted to do this end first is because when you do this end, that end still has a lot of meat to drive it with, and I got a little bit of a mark in there that I want to clean up. That's better. All right, now let's come down here and let's do this end. Do the same thing. I'm going to take and get rid of some of this a little bit. All right, so I'm going to come back about 1/4 of an inch or so. You can see I'm rolling my tool There. This one here needs to be a little bit more blunt. I need to take a little bit more off here. Just like that. And that is that. And I'm not even going to sand that, but I am going to finish it. So let's get some, all I'm going to do is put some wax on it, is all I'm going to do. So let's get some wax out and we'll get started on that. So hang tight. All right, so I got some, this is just beeswax and mineral oil, is all it is. It's half and half. And I just take this, and first of all, I'm just going to smear it on, with the rag here. And as you can see, I didn't do any sanding at all. And that's why I like using a skew. If you really get good at a skew, you can get away without sanding. I'm not saying that you're going to accomplish that right off the bat, but it is possible. Okay, so I got me a good coat on there. I'm going to run it in reverse. And I'm running about 300 RPMs. And I'm just going to take the rag and I'm just going to rub this in. Yeah. And that's why you don't want to wrap the rag around your fingers. And there's probably somebody out there that's going to tell me, hey, you should never use a rag when you're turning like this, but I do it all the time. That doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. It's just what I do. All right. I got a good coat of wax on there. Like I said, this is just mineral oil and beeswax. Okay. Then I get me a paper towel and just take a paper towel like this and I'll crank it up. And I just rub it with a paper towel. And you can use pretty much any finish you want on it. I like to use like kind of a, if you want to say it, a food safe finish. You know, mineral oil and beeswax is both food grade. So you can use coconut oil. I've done that before. All right. Nice and smooth. I like it. All right, so we're done with that. What we're going to do is I'm going to take a little bit. Actually, I'm not going to do that. We're going to take it over to the bandsaw and we're going to cut it off. So hang tight and we'll go over to the bandsaw and just cut them ends off. All right, so here we are. This is a little fancy jig I made up. Do my round pieces. And so all I want to do is just cut the end of that off. So I just hold that in there. One end. I cut both ends off and then I'll go over to the sander and we'll sand it off and we'll be good. So let's hang tight and we'll get her sanded. All right, so here we are. We got her sanded and I'm just applying a little bit of mineral oils beeswax to the end of it, just to finish it off. And there is our rolling pin. It's a French style rolling pin. They lay it up like this, and you can kind of maneuver and do different things with it. And I think it turned out really well. I like the way it come out. It's a nice, nice rolling pin. Nice and smooth. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to share, subscribe, like, and leave a comment below if you like. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. And there's a French style rolling pin did for you. Hope you enjoyed it. You know, give me an email or a comment. Put them in the comment section below. And once again, feel free to share, subscribe, and like. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining me at Woodchip Woodworking. Have a good night.